pick a situation, and there's a good chance they won that situation. Third down, they were better, both sides of the ball. Penalties, they were better. They outplayed us, they outcoached us, and they deserved to win.
They certainly did deserve to win with the offense playing like this, or I guess with the Atlanta defense playing as well.
Yeah.
A lot of ways to look at how they dominated Drew Brees and Thomas and Kamara. But bottom line, the Saints didn't score a touchdown.
No, they did not.
And my biggest question, not about this game, but the entire weekend that I was looking forward to talking to you about. How did the Saints not score a touchdown?
Yeah, okay, so, I mean, first off, the first drive of the game, you were like, oh, here come the Saints right down the field. Boom, boom, boom. They get down there. They have a little special design play for Alvin Kamara. He kind of slips. Drew Brees doesn't know what to do. They end up kicking a field goal. But really, after that point, I mean, it was tough sledding.
Yeah.
Now, and here's the play. I mean, we did a little thing on social media today, but this was the play here. They got a third and goal from the 3. And it's we're going to fake the toss sweep to Kamara as he's in motion because they run this play, but he stops and puts the brakes on.
Yep.
Right?
Drew's under center. 3-yard line on the left hash.
Exactly. Full back to his left just a little bit. They're going to fake like they're going to run the toss sweep to Alvin Kamara, who's coming in that speed sweep motion, and then he stops and goes back. Now, the play is designed for Kamara. Kamara and Kamara only. He kind of slips, and now Drew Brees is like, oh, crap. He's slipped. What do I do? Because we don't really have any routes really called. This was a one-player design, and this was just for this. Now, I don't know if he scores. Deion Jones was not totally fooled here. You can see him out there.
Right.
But Alvin Kamara one-on-one in that space is a dangerous proposition for
I think he probably would have.
even the greatest linebackers. Right, I know. So that was a huge moment. They leave 3 on the field. Going from there, I guess the thing I would say is, got to give Dan Quinn and the Falcons credit. Did some different things on defense. Not like where I went, oh, they reinvented themselves.
What was different?
But 3-man pressures.
A lot of that, yeah.
A lot of that, okay. Didn't play their Seattle defensive scheme the whole game. That just drives me crazy sometimes. I mean, it's Sean Payton and Drew Brees. You play the same defense over and over.
Yeah.
They're going to finally go, okay, this is what we got. Let's expose this and do this.
Don't they have the Seattle beaters?
They did, but see, the Falcons did a very good job of really never staying true to that. They went some 2-man. They played some man-to-man. They changed up some coverages in the game where not only the coverages, but even a few blitzes here and there where I went, man, I haven't seen the Falcons run that blitz all year long. And I do think that threw the Saints off of rhythm to a degree.
I thought it was more than the blitzes, though, and there were.
It definitely was.
There were times, but there were plenty of times where they weren't bringing pressure.
No.
It was the 3-man front that you talked about.
Right.
And Drew had that initial time and didn't see anything. And my first thought is, okay, this isn't a team that relies on pushing it way downfield. And if they're dropping 8, they're dropping them into the right zones to prevent Drew from throwing it over the top. He doesn't really do that anyway.
No.
This is one team that kind of carves you up underneath anyway. So why weren't those there?
Because that's where, like, they kept people all over Kamara and Michael Thomas on short passing routes. They weren't going to let, I think, the short passing game beat them. And they weren't going to let, like, the Sean Payton, he dials up 2 or 3, like, FU plays a game, and they did a good job stopping them, whether it's a screen or the old, we're booting to the right and going to throw backside to the tight end who's kind of slipped through and gone out that way. The play we see just about everybody run every week. Baker Mayfield hit Jarvis Landry on the last drive on that play again. Kyle Shanahan invented that. I think that's the big thing. More than anything, they took away the short passing game, but more than, like, to what you said, there's nothing to back them up. And you're right. Like on TV, I watched that game and went, man, Atlanta looks like they're getting pressure. No, the pressure was not that great until the fourth quarter when they get up 20-9, and then they could just pin their ears back. More times than not, I came away watching film going, ooh, that's good coverage. They're running out Kamara on the halfback option. And they're playing Tampa too, and they got 2 guys over him. They weren't going to let him beat him.
Right.
So between, I think, stopping some of those go-to 5 to 8 yard passes that the Saints are magical at, and then when they did complete some of those, man, did they tackle.
Yeah, they did.
There was no Kamara break it and, oh, I caught a 5-yard ball but went into a 20-yard gain because I broke 2 tackles or 1 tackle. Same with Michael Thomas. They caught the ball. They were kind of down right there, and that kept them in manageable situations and having to play that way.
The Falcons did a great job defensively.
Yes.
And like you, I think a lot of the Sean Payton, Drew Brees combination, what they've been doing the last decade plus.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame play caller
right.
and quarterback execution. But they did not help themselves at all in terms of play calling. And one of the things I hate the most after a game is when people question fourth downs that don't work and a game plan that didn't work. However, when your quarterback throws it 45 times and your top 2 running backs combine to carry it 9 times in a close game, got away late, but most of the time it was a 1-score game or a 10-point game.
No doubt about it.
There's not really any excuse for that kind of lack of balance.
It's one of the shocking things of the game. And I don't know if you saw my notes, but one of the things I wrote is I just can't believe it. The Saints have gotten like pass happy for some reason.
Oh my gosh.
I wrote, where's the run? Question mark, question
They didn't really even try. And I wonder, is it something where Sean and Drew knew going in that was the plan? Or if they got the stat sheet at some point after the game or they got home, we're like, holy shit, we only ran 9
I know.
times?
See, to me, that's where I think the changeup got them a little bit. I think they've been watching the Falcons play, and they said they're going to play that Seattle scheme, and we're going to dice them up, slow death, and we'll get 5. It'll turn into 12 because Michael will break a tackle. We'll get another 5, and Kamara will break a tackle here and there. We'll do that. But like the Falcons, between the 3-man rush, what I call blitz change, right? Blitz change is like 2 guys drop out, but 2 guys blitz. So it ends up being a 4-man pressure, but you're still dropping back as a quarterback going like, wait, am I protected? Oh, okay. Oh, wait, they're over here now. So those are little wrinkles that I haven't seen them do. And a few of the different blitzes I talked about. Plus, you said it earlier, the Saints don't have a game breaker. You know, Teddy Ginn, okay, he's not the Teddy Ginn from like 7 or 8 years ago.
You wouldn't count Thomas as one?
No, he is not a game breaker. He is a possession receiver. He is tough as hell. He's going to catch contested balls, but he is not a game breaker in the sense where I'm worried about Michael Thomas catching a slant and going 60 yards with it. No, that's not going to happen. He's going to beat you up over the middle. If he gets one-on-one on the outside, he's going to catch a back shoulder, but he's not going to beat you just like with sheer speed down the field. That's not his game. And I think that's a little bit, and this is about the time of the year last year when this started to rear its ugly head. It's like teams started to realize, wait, the Saints can't really throw the ball deep down the field. Why are we backing up so deep all the time?
Right.
So
I don't think it was this early in November.
No, it was later. It was the Dallas
when
game.
They played against Dallas.
The week after Thanksgiving, I think, last year.
This is jogging your memory back a year.
Yeah.
But just thinking about that, what you remember about that game, any similarities to how you felt about that effort that was way below the Saints' norm?
Yeah.
And kind of set up what would happen in December.
Yeah.
And what happened yesterday.
Well, yeah, I think it was like the Cowboys in that game, first off, were those linebackers and everything that they were allowed to take some of those short passes away. They, Michael Thomas, Kamara, they couldn't get involved in that game to make plays like that.
Right.
And they had the corners on the outside to kind of go, okay, well, we'll leave them on an island. We're not worried about them.
And they also have the similarity of young linebackers who can run.
Oh, and that's the other thing.
Teams.
I'm glad you steered me that way. Exactly right.
Because those dudes for the Falcons,
they were phenomenal.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal. 59 Campbell and 45 Jones are made to stop that type of attack. And I really think, even some of those 3-man rushes, they crowded the middle of the field. It was almost like, we dare you to throw it deep and outside the numbers. Go ahead. We don't see you do it. They were calling their bluff. And I really think, back to what you said, the no balance, that's like what Sean Payton's going to kick himself in the butt for today. He's going to look back and go, why wasn't I running the ball? Because when we ran the ball, I opened up some holes.
Yeah.
But I think they kind of came in with a game plan and got stuck to it and never really adjusted off of it.
Right.
And I think that's really all of it. At the end of the game, when it got to 20-9, like Grady Jarrett and them, they started to kick ass up front. But I really think the short passes, the stopping the fuck you plays, which I called them, and then the stopping of the Michael Thomas, Kamara, just dissection short passing game over and over and over was a big thing of the game. And listen, people are going to look at this and go, well, Michael Thomas had 13 for 152. Michael Thomas had 52 on the last drive when the game was over.
Right.
Drew Brees had 78 yards passing when the game was over.
Yeah.
It's the non-competitive part of the game. I don't even count those stats.
Yeah.
To me as an evaluator, I'm looking and going, no, the game's over now. This is all bullshit stats. It's great. At the end of the year, everybody's going to forget about really what happened in the game. They're going to go, oh, Drew played pretty good. He was 287 yards. But no, it was more like 210, 215.
Right.
And that's a big difference.
And how about this number? I want to see if this means something to you. Breeze was under pressure 35% of the time. That's according to Next Gen Stats. Entering the game, New Orleans had only allowed 22% of the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I would say, yeah, I mean,
which to me says a lot about their offensive line, because as you've pointed out, they weren't like coming after him all the time.
No, it was not their best game, the Saints O-line, and I would bet you that a lot of those pressures in that percentage are fourth quarter, where like you said, in the first 2 or 3 quarters, I wasn't sitting there. I was kind of taking it back on film, going, man, they're actually not getting after Breeze quite the way I thought. But you know, that you hit it. The linebackers taking away the halfback options, the wheel routes. You know, they were looking for wheel routes up the sidelines to Kamara, and the linebackers were all over it.
With him.
They were running with him.
Their linebacker coach, by the way, Jeff Ulbrich.
Yeah.
So when I was living in Southern California, he was the linebacker coach for UCLA.
Yeah.
And our kids, we lived in the same town. Our kids played on the same flag football team together.
Yeah.
And so I was in Atlanta a couple of years ago for a game. Things weren't going that well.
Yeah.
He had a big smile on his face, and I was kind of like, why are you so upbeat? He was so excited about those 2 young linebackers and how they could run. He's like, Paulie, just watch these guys.
They're
couple of
freaks.
years,
Yeah.
I've got the best group in the league.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing that a little bit.
We are.
Listening to you talk about him reminded me
of
the background story in my mind with those young linebackers. So they have loved those guys for a little while.
Last thing, and we'll move to the other side of the ball. I do think this, and I'm going to say this because these are bold statements, okay? I do think Drew Brees is aware of his lack of arm strength. Like, you know, some of those 3-man rushes where I go, man, you got to smash that curl route in there. I know it's tight. I think he's very aware, like, ooh, I don't know if I can get that in there. So I'm going to be conservative that way. And I'll say this last thing, because Drew Brees is tough as hell. And I respect him that way so much. It was about as flustered as I've ever seen him be in a game. I saw him, I feel like, a number of times, like, oh, wait, Kamara's not open, and he was looking at the pass rush and, like, just couldn't believe it, like, didn't know what to do. Like, damn, every time I've dropped back this year, this has been open, and now what the hell do I do from here? I never really saw that from Drew Brees in a long, long time, and it just reared its ugly head. They'll get back right. It was a bad game by them in general, coming off a bye week, reading your press clippings. Everybody's telling you might be one of the best teams in the NFL.
Right.
I expect them to bounce back.
Let's look at the other side just quickly.
Yeah.
And what jumps out to me, especially with what we talked about with the Saints offense, Matt Ryan had a decent game.
Yeah.
Good to see him back.
Right.
Played well enough, made some nice throws, made some nice runs on 3rd and 4th down as well. Which
I mean, those are some of the difference of the game.
Right. And to me, the biggest difference, we talked about the 45-9 for Breeze and his running backs. Matt Ryan threw it 35 times.
Yep.
His top 2 backs ran it 30 times.
Yes.
And you would think, okay, they handed off or pitched it 30 times. They must have been kicking ass in the run game. They didn't total over 100 yards, those 2 guys.
No, I know.
But by doing that, it kept them on schedule.
Yes.
And allowed Matt to do just enough.
Just enough, right. I mean, they kind of went with, like, I almost want to say it was like the Oakland Raiders game plan. Let's run the ball, high percentage completions. We're not going to take any chances. You know, had the one deep pass to Julio Jones on the deep cross right after Lattimore got hurt. That was really the only big explosive pass play of the game, right? I mean, I can't really think of another one. But I think you kind of hit it. And the one thing I liked, especially early, they didn't try to run up the middle on the Saints. You know, you're not going to win that battle. You're not going to run up the middle against the New Orleans Saints. Calvin Ridley got one off the edge. You know, they did a few of those. Oh, you know, Matt Ryan, he comes out on the center and acts like he's going to toss sweep it, but they flip it out the backside. You know, they did some of that to keep the Saints from just overpowering them up the middle. And if there's a weakness to the Saints defense, I would say it's their speed in their front 7. They are not fast. They're big and powerful. They are not fast. And the teams that have run on them have run on the edge. But I think you kind of said it. They just played smart football. The Saints killed themselves with some special team stuff. Okay, they let up a big punt return at one point where that gave the short field to the Atlanta Falcons early on, and that ended up being a field goal drive, I believe. So they had that, and then they also had, what am I missing on this? They had a block, was it a block punt? Hold on, I wrote this down somewhere, and I just can't remember. Oh, the roughing the punter. They had a roughing the punter too. So, you know, those played factors in the game. Roughing the punter that led to the score going from 20-9 to 23-9.
Right.
That was big. But really, more than less, it was a complete game and a cohesive game plan by the Falcons. A lot like, let's just say, the Colts playing the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football a long time ago. Let's run the ball. Let's control the clock. Let's keep their offense off the field. They never really got in rhythm, and they kind of just slowed death the Saints that way.
Right.
And that's ultimately what it was. And you're right about the Matt Ryan. The Matt Ryan runs, he had a 4th and 4 run.
Yeah.
He had a
third down.
A 3rd and 13 run, I believe, I want to say. Or it was a 3rd and 9 at the 20. It was 13-9, okay? This was a big run. And he, at the 20-yard line, and he ran and got a conversion, okay, which led to them scoring a touchdown a few plays later.
Yeah.
So those are
With a bad
huge.
ankle in his 30s.
Yeah, and they couldn't get off the field on some of those drives. And, I mean, the time of possession, what, 33? And it's probably worse than that. I thought it was actually worse than that.
Sometimes that matters. I think it mattered with the way that game looked yesterday.
It did.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.